everyone, let us continue the embryology with the second week of development. So the main events which happens during the second week is the implantation. Usually implantation begins on 6th day of intrauterine life, 6th to 7th day, and implantation gets completed before 13th to 14th day of gestation. So implanted embryo becomes more deeply embedded in the endometrium, and further the development of trophoblast into placenta. So that is the things. And then the development of bilaminar embryo, amniotic cavity and yolk sac happens during second week of development. So we see the development of embryoblast cells into bilaminar disc, where they differentiate into two layers, epiblast and hypoblast layer, and we are even going to see the formation of amniotic cavity and yolk sac cavity. So let's begin with the implantation, which is a critical event happening during the second week of development, and it is nothing but the embedding of the blastocyst, which we saw in the first week of development. So the blastocyst which gets embedded within the wall of the uterus. So it takes place on 6th or 7th day of fertilization. So normally if we see the implantation, the upper segment and posterior wall of the uterus is the normal site of implantation. So if the implantation occurs elsewhere, then it is considered to be ectopic implantation. So implantation occurs at the end of the first week, and the trophoblast cells invade the epithelium and underlying the endometrial stroma, which I would show in the next image, how they erode the endometrium, and this erosion occurs because of proteolytic enzymes. So implantation may also occur outside the uterus, such as in the rectouterine pouch. So here we can see the implantation in the rectouterine pouch, which is an ectopic implantation, and abdominal implantation. We can see somewhere in the abdominal cavity. If the implantation occurs, it is considered to be abdominal implantation, and implantation in the ovary, ovarian implantation. And apart from the upper segment of the uterus, the implantation can be cervical region, which is called as placenta previa, where it covers the internal os, complete covering or partial covering of the internal os. Implantation can be in the fallopian tube or fimbriated end of the fallopian tube. You can see isthmus implantation, ampullary implantation and fimbrial implantation. Partial implantation in the upper segment fundus of the uterus, it can occur. So these are the kinds of ectopic implantation. So implantation somewhere other than the upper portion of the uterus considered to be ectopic implantation, and rupture can lead to life-threatening hemorrhage. So here is the image where we can see the tubal pregnancy. So within the fallopian tube or oviduct, we see the embryo starts developing. So we know the site of fertilization is the ampullary end of the oviduct or fallopian tube. So instead of transferring from the that is the ampullary end of the oviduct into the uterine cavity, if the embryo settles within the uterine tube somewhere, so that leads to tubal pregnancy, which is a very common variety of ectopic implantation. Next, here we are seeing the implantation and placentation. So at the beginning of the second week, the blastocyst is partially embedded in the endometrium. So here is the blastocyst, where we can see it is almost forming bilaminar germ disc here, which is embedded within the wall of the uterus. So this is the decidua basalis. Decidua basalis is the endometrial stroma where the implantation occurs. And we can see the uterine glands and blood vessels are present within the wall of the uterus. So these are the maternal blood vessels, and we can see the embryoblast differentiating into epi and hypoblast, that I am going to discuss little later. Now you just see here, this is the cytotrophoblast, and this dotted one where all the cells will coalesce, they join, and the nuclei will form a jelly-like substance which is called as syncytial trophoblast. So the trophoblast, the outer cells, the peripheral cells, we know it differentiates into trophoblast, and the central cells in the blastocyst will differentiate into embryoblast. So the outer peripheral cells, trophoblast, further differentiates into cytotrophoblast and syncytial trophoblast. So this is the cyto, this light green one where we can see the cells, the other side syncytial. And we can see, appreciate one more thing, the syncytial trophoblast is more developed only on the one side of the embryo, where the other side there is no syncytial trophoblast, only cytotrophoblast is present. So syncytial trophoblast is prominent at the site of implantation. It is at the site of implantation and it towards the embryoblast cells here. So this is called as embryonic pole, and the opposite end is the abembryonic pole. So now we know that trophoblast is differentiated into inner actively proliferating layer, that is the cytotrophoblast layer, and the outer layer is the syncytial trophoblast, which erodes the maternal tissues by day 9. So this is the day 8. So slowly by day 9 it starts eroding and develop into the syncytial trophoblast. Lacunae develop. So here we didn't see the lacunae yet, but in the next image we would see the lacunae. So the gap starts developing within the syncytial trophoblast, which are considered to be lacunae. Lacunae means gaps. And these lacunae they subsequently dilate and become bigger, and which gets blood from the maternal blood vessels, and subsequently the maternal sinusoids are eroded by the syncytial trophoblast, and maternal blood enters the lacunar network, and by the end of the second week a primitive uteroplacental circulation begins. So by the end of the second week the establishment of uteroplacental circulation initiates, and the cytotrophoblast meanwhile forms cellular columns and penetrate surrounding the syncytium. These columns are considered to be primary villi. They are called as primary chorionic villi. So here is a cytotrophoblast. The cells will divide into the substance of syncytium like columns, which are called as primary chorionic villi, and within the syncytium we see the gaps, and which are called lacunae, and these are maternal blood vessels which get dilated to form maternal sinusoids, and so this syncytium slowly starts eroding the wall of the maternal blood vessels, and the maternal blood will pour into the sinusoid, that is lacunae. From the maternal sinusoids the blood will pour into the lacunae, establishing uteroplacental circulation. So the inner cell mass or the embryoblast, meanwhile we can see here it differentiates into epiblast and hypoblast. The blue color columnar cells, what you can appreciate here, these are epiblast cells, and the yellow color cells which we see below it, they are called as hypoblast cells. So that's how the bilaminar, now it is considered to be bilaminar germ disc. So the epiblast and the hypoblast together forming bilaminar germ disc, and epiblast cells give rise to amnioblast cells. We can see here this epiblast cells, they are continuing again forming a layer below the cytotrophoblast cells, which are called as amnioblastic cells. So these amnioblastic or amniogenic cells, they line the cavity. You can see the small cavity starts developing here, which is considered to be amniotic cavity. And superior to the epiblast cells, we can see the amniotic cavity develops. Then about the hypoblast cells, cells are continuous with the exocoelomic membrane. So here these are the hypoblast cells. They continue with the membrane here surrounding the cavity. This cavity would be the yolk sac cavity, which is considered to be primitive yolk sac cavity. So exocoelomic membrane, the hypoblast cells which are continuous with the exocoelomic membrane lines the primitive yolk sac cavity. So this is the basic introduction about second week of development. So now we can see the implantation and placentation by day 9. So that's what I was saying. In previous image itself I told the lacunae starts developing. So trophoblast further develops and invades the maternal tissues. And cytotrophoblast, here you can see the cytotrophoblast. They are dividing to form the columns here, which forms the primitive, that is primary chorionic villi. And these lacunae which are present in the syncytium, they are called trophoblastic lacunae, which later get filled with the mother's blood, that is maternal blood. So maternal blood is here, which are the enlarged blood vessels called as maternal sinusoids. And here we can see the hypoblast cells, they line the yolk sac cavity along the exocoelomic membrane, which is primitive yolk sac cavity or exocoelomic cavity. And these are epiblast cells, and here we can see prominently amniotic cavity as well. So the trophoblast differentiates and invades the maternal tissues. Cytotrophoblast stem cell population we can see here dividing, and syncytiotrophoblast, which is invasive and fused cells, that is a syncytium derived from the cytotrophoblastic cells, breaks the maternal capillaries, and trophoblastic lacunae filled with the maternal blood, and inner cell mass differentiates into epiblast and hypoblast, and epiblast contributes to the forming overlying amniotic cavity and amniotic membrane, whereas the hypoblast contributes to the forming the underlying yolk sac cavity. So here we can see uteroplacental circulation. This is a primitive uteroplacental circulation where we can see the maternal blood is poured into the sinusoids. So you can see the lacunae, it is poured into the lacunae, and this is the syncytium layer, and we can see slowly the cytotrophoblastic cells, they are growing. You can see the cytotrophoblastic cells, they are proliferating and trying to reach the decidua by forming columns which are called primary chorionic villi. And we can see the exocoelomic cavity here, which is primitive yolk sac cavity, amniotic cavity. And here at this stage we can see the extraembryonic mesoderm. So that I would discuss in the next slide as well. So by the end of the second week, the extraembryonic mesoderm fills the space between the trophoblast and the amnion. So we can see the trophoblast and the amniotic membrane, and also the exocoelomic membrane. This is the exocoelomic cells which are derived from the hypoblast cells. So the exocoelomic membrane, here is the amniotic membrane. Between that and the cytotrophoblast we can see this gaps forming, and initially it forms a complete cells which are called as extraembryonic mesoderm. So this extraembryonic mesoderm later turns to extraembryonic coelom. How means we can see this lacunae, extraembryonic cavity lacunae. I hope you can appreciate. So these lacunae will join to form a complete cavity around the embryo that time. So that is called as extraembryonic cavity. So the extraembryonic mesoderm lining the cytotrophoblast and the amnion is called as extraembryonic somatic mesoderm. So we can see this is the cytotrophoblast, and here is blue lining is the amnion, and this is the extracoelomic membrane. Okay, and now we can see the lining, the extraembryonic mesoderm, which lines the cytotrophoblast here peripherally, that is called as extraembryonic somatic mesoderm. It is called as extraembryonic somatic. So this is the extraembryonic somatic mesoderm which is along the cytotrophoblast, and it is also along the amniotic cells. So the extraembryonic mesoderm which is along the cytotrophoblast and the amniotic cells considered to be extraembryonic somatic mesoderm. And there is a layer of mesoderm which is lining the yolk sac as well. This layer is considered to be extraembryonic splanchnic mesoderm. So it is the lining surrounding the yolk sac which forms extraembryonic splanchnic mesoderm. So trophoblast, further here we can see differentiates into cytotrophoblast, which I already said, and syncytial trophoblast, invasive fused cells called as syncytium, which is derived from the cytotrophoblast, and we can see breaks the maternal capillaries, and trophoblastic lacunae filled with the maternal blood. And inner cell mass, that is the embryoblast, differentiates into epi and hypoblast cells, and epiblast contributes to the forming overlying amniotic membrane and amniotic cavity, and hypoblast contributes in the formation overlying the yolk sac cavity. So now here is an image showing the implantation and placentation on the day 13, where we can see well developed extra embryonic coelom, or here we can see this is the extra embryonic cavity, which is otherwise called as chorionic cavity. And what I was saying previously, the lining of extra embryonic mesoderm, which is along with the cytotrophoblast cells, this is called as extra embryonic somatopleuric mesoderm, which forms the chorionic plate later. And the mesoderm, extra embryonic mesoderm, which is lining the yolk sac cavity, is called as extra embryonic splanchnopluric mesoderm. And part of the yolk sac, it gets pinched off. So we can see the size of the yolk sac reduces gradually, and part of the yolk sac, it gets pinched off, which is called as exocoelomic cyst, which is a temporary structure, and it gets degenerated and disappear fully, and reducing the size of the yolk sac. So this reduced size of the yolk sac is considered to be secondary yolk sac. So the second week of development is known as the week of twos, where the trophoblast differentiate into two layers, cytotrophoblast, syncytiotrophoblast, and the embryoblast forms two layers, epiblast and hypoblast. The extra embryonic mesoderm splits into two layers, that is extra embryonic somatic mesoderm and extra embryonic splanchnic mesoderm. And two cavities are formed. So one is amniotic cavity, the other is the yolk sac cavity. And there is one more cavity, that is the chorionic cavity or extra embryonic cavity, which is surrounding the complete developing embryoblast cells around the amniotic cavity and yolk sac cavity. And we see the formation of secondary yolk sac, where a part of the yolk sac gets pinched off. It gets separated from the mother developing, and where we can see this cyst is called exocoelomic cyst, which is a temporary structure. So next we shall see one by one again. So formation of amniotic cavity and the embryonic cyst. So as the implantation begins, so I am just going behind again. So here is the blastocyst, where we can see the inner cell mass and the outer cell mass. This cavity is called as blastocyst cavity or blastocele, and where the peripheral cells, the outer cell mass will form trophoblast, which differentiates into cyto and syncytiotrophoblast. Inner cell mass differentiates into that is epiblast and hypoblast, that we know already. And as the implantation of the blastocyst progresses, the changes appear in the inner cell mass embryoblast. A cavity will form. So we can see here the epiblast and hypoblast are there. Cytotrophoblast and syncytium starts eroding the wall of the uterus, where the implantation is begin by 6th day of intrauterine life and completes by 13th to 14th day of intrauterine life, and where we can see the slowly the cavity starts developing. We can see the amniotic cavity here, which is surrounded by the amniogenic cells or amnioblast cells, which are derived from the epiblast cells. So the cavity, that is the amniotic cavity, appears separating the embryoblast cells from trophoblast. Here is the cytotrophoblast. So the epiblast cells get separated from the cytotrophoblast by means of amniotic cavity. So the cavity gradually increases in size and filled with the amniotic fluid. The inner cell mass becomes flattened, forming a circular bilaminar plate, and where it is called as embryonic disc or bilaminar disc, consisting of epiblast, which is considered to be primitive ectoderm, and it is a thick layer columnar cells, and made up of high columnar cells, and related to the amniotic cavity, and lies adjacent to the blastocyst cavity. So this is the amniotic cavity, and blastocyst cavity is no more called as blastocyst here. It is called as primitive yolk sac cavity. Primitive yolk sac cavity, we know how it turns to form secondary yolk sac cavity. So here formation of extraembryonic mesoderm, I am repeating again for more clarification. So we know this is the cytotrophoblast cells, and these are the amniogenic cells, and yolk sac, that is extraembryonic mesoderm starts developing here. So epiblast cells, actually how this extraembryonic mesoderm develops, the epiblast cells, they will start proliferating. If you see the development of germ layers also, the epiblast are the cells which give rise to all the three germ layers. So these epiblasts are highly pluripotent stem cells which are rapidly dividing cells, and these cells are dividing, and they form a tissue here which is called as extraembryonic mesoderm. This is the extra, which separates the yolk sac from the cytotrophoblast. And we can see the lacunae starts developing, the gaps starts developing inside the extraembryonic mesoderm. Slowly these gaps will fuse and dividing the extraembryonic mesoderm into splanchnopluric and somatopleuric. So the blastocyst cavity becomes lined by exocoelomic membrane, which is called as yolk sac cavity. We know that now, which is called as exocoelomic cavity as well. So yolk sac cavity is called as exocoelomic cavity. The hypoblast cells soon replace the exocoelomic membrane, and the cavity is then named as primitive yolk sac or primary yolk sac. At this stage, the embryonic disc, the circular bilaminar disc, the cells between the amniotic cavity and the yolk sac cavity. We can see the cells form a bilaminar disc between the amniotic cavity and yolk sac cavity, and epiblast forms the floor of the amniotic cavity, and hypoblast lies in the roof of the yolk sac cavity. And extraembryonic mesoderm, which is derived from the epiblast, the endoderm of the yolk sac gives rise to a layer of loose connective tissue. So it is not only the epiblast cells to form the extraembryonic mesoderm. Some books say that the cells surrounding the yolk sac, this produces this loose connective tissue which is considered to be extraembryonic mesoderm, and it surrounds the amniotic and yolk sac cavity. Here it is shown little, here we can see it is surrounding the amniotic cavity, but it is largely around the yolk sac cavity. So now extraembryonic coelom, how it is formed. So this, you can see the gaps, all the gaps will join to form this coelom, which is called as extraembryonic coelom, dividing extraembryonic mesoderm into splanchnopluric and somatopleuric, and extraembryonic coelom is otherwise called as chorionic cavity. It forms the chorionic cavity. And one end we won't see this chorionic cavity or extraembryonic coelom. Where the amniogenic cells are there, the cavity won't extend that area. Here I am saying this part, the cavity won't go beyond this. So there is no cavity here. So the cytotrophoblast and extraembryonic mesoderm amniogenic cells are there here around the amniotic cavity. This part later turns to form connecting stalk. It will turn to form connecting stalk. So we can see the spaces rapidly fuse to form a large fluid filled C-shaped cavity which is called as extraembryonic coelom. On the same time we can see the yolk sac getting pinched off, turning to form a secondary yolk sac. So next about the connecting stalk. So before moving on to connecting stalk, I want to label this image. So this is Decidua basalis, which is an endometrium where we can see the maternal blood vessels. These are the maternal blood vessels which are surrounded by syncytium. Syncytium is shown in yellow color here. So these are maternal lacunae. The yellow one is the syncytium, syncytiotropoblast, which contain lacunae of the fetus. This is the cellular component cytotrophoblast, which is highly proliferating, which divides and forms syncytium or syncytiotropoblast. Then the extraembryonic mesoderm, we can see extraembryonic mesoderm, which is along the cytotrophoblast, is called as somatopleuric extraembryonic mesoderm, and which is along the yolk sac here. This part is the somatopleuric extraembryonic mesoderm. And we can see the amniotic cavity, and these are the epiblast cells. The blue color cells are the epiblast, the yellow ones are the hypoblast cells. So this is the yolk sac cavity, and extraembryonic coelom is otherwise called as chorionic. So you can see the chorionic cavity, and you can see very beautifully in this image the part of the yolk sac is pinched off, forming exocoelomic cyst. It is called exocoelomic, which is a temporary structure. It gets degenerated, reducing the size of the yolk sac into a secondary yolk sac. And what about the connecting stalk? The heading is the formation of connecting stalk. So this point where the chorionic cavity is not extending here, this part will turn to form a connecting stalk, which develops uteroplacental circulation, forming placenta. So the region where the no cavity has appeared forms the connecting stalk, and that connects the amniotic cavity and the yolk sac cavity. So you can see the amniotic and the yolk sac, and to the outer wall, or where it connects to the outer wall, that is the cytotrophoblast, it connects, and the site of the connecting stalk determines the caudal pole of the embryo. So the appearance of the connecting stalk, we can tell which is the caudal pole of the embryo. So it determines the caudal pole of the embryo with the formation of extraembryonic coelom and the extraembryonic mesoderm, which splits into two layers, that is outer extraembryonic parietal or somatic mesoderm and inner extraembryonic visceral or splanchnic mesoderm, which is along with the yolk sac. And primary yolk sac decreases in size and becomes the secondary or definitive yolk sac, and the wall of the yolk sac, amnion and chorion are formed here. So amnion is made of two layers. Amnioblastic cells, you can see the small blue color cells are the amnioblastic cells, and extraembryonic splanchnic mesoderm. This is the extraembryonic splanchnic mesoderm. The wall of the yolk sac is also made up of two layers, endoderm and extraembryonic splanchnic mesoderm. So this yellow color lining is the this is the coelomic membrane, which is endoderm, which are derived from the hypoblast cells, and this one is the extraembryonic splanchnic mesoderm, which is surrounding the yolk sac. And chorion consists of three layers, that is extraembryonic somatic mesoderm. So the chorion is from here to here. So extraembryonic somatic mesoderm, cytotrophoblast, you can see the cytotrophoblast, and syncytiotropoblast. So these three layers, and extraembryonic coelom is now called as chorionic cavity. So this completes the second week of development. I hope you understood this topic, and I have revised again so that you can remember. So at the end of second week, we saw the bilaminar germ disc formation, and we saw the connecting stalk formation, and we saw the formation of secondary yolk sac where primary yolk sac turns to form secondary, and we also knew the chorionic cavity, how it forms, and how the extraembryonic mesoderm splits into two layers, and how the uteroplacental circulation will begin during second week of gestation. So this completes the second week of embryology. Thank you.